Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Nick's suspicions are heightened by a phone call, and karma comes after Audra. Billy approaches Jack at the bar at the jazz club and makes his brother laugh by saying he's new and better. As they resume their frequent chat, Jack acknowledges that he was a touch harsh with Billy, who owns up to his role in their fight and agrees that they both want peace. Jack asks Billy where he is with Kane, and his brother says he has given up on pursuing Chancellor since Sally helped him see what's really important. As the conversation shifts to Jill, Jack explains that he called her back to let her know what Kane was up to, but he also hoped that she and Billy would get back in touch. Although Billy is pessimistic, he thinks his mother wants him to succeed again. Will Nick receive responses? Nick questions Detective Burrows about someone running Noah off the road while he is in the hospital. Sharon understands that Noah might have perished if the witness hadn't stepped forward. When the detective won't provide Nick the person's identity, Nick becomes even more irritated. Burrows then pulls out a pad and asks why Noah was in Los Angeles. What the hell difference does it make, wonders Nick. Is he attempting to hold his son responsible for this? They are merely attempting to construct a timeline, the investigator clarifies. Nick fumes and huffs, stating that he is in search of solutions. Burrows leaves after Nick gives him his contact information. Nick and Sharon ponder why and by whom someone would wish to harm Noah. Sharon Detective Nick Burrows. Nick walks. Was their ID even shown by the detective? There was something strange about the interaction. Sharon's only concern is if Noah will awaken. Will he survive at all? Noah's phone, which is in the personal effects bag, rings out of nowhere. Sienna Bacall, the woman who knew Holden in the nightclub, is displayed on the screen. Nick's phone. This is Nick Newman, replies Nick in response. In the nightclub, Sienna frowns. She is requesting Noah Newman. According to Nick, he was involved in an extremely serious vehicle accident. How are you familiar with my son? According to Sienna, she is a friend. Nick asks her a lot of questions. She ends the call by saying she hopes he's alright. Nick walks. It all seems strange. Something is not right here. I sense it. How is Nate going to respond to this meeting? Audra is there when Nate jogs into Chancellor Park. Nate explains that he is meeting someone when Victoria arrives. Nate tells Audra that her ex was involved in a car accident in Los Angeles after Victoria tells him that Noah prevents her from going for a run. Gawping, she exclaims, "Oh God. Is he alright?" Victoria requests that Nate assist her in obtaining additional information, in private. Acknowledging their desire to get rid of her, Audra informs Nate that she could run into him when she goes to meet Amy and departs. Victoria sits and informs Nate that Noah, who is in an induced coma due to severe head injuries, doesn't seem to be doing well. According to Nate, it allows the brain to recuperate and rest. He gives her hope that she will heal. Nate is certain that this is causing her to think of Cole in the hospital as well when they discuss how similar this is to Cassie and Faith's accidents. Victoria worries that her family is cursed since the grief of the losses can be too much at times. When he recently lost Damien, she suddenly realizes that she is talking endlessly about herself. Nate reassures her once more in a kind speech. Nate Victoria. Victoria asks Nate if they may continue their dinner date for tonight and cheers him up. She tells him how much she has valued his assistance. When Audra gets back in time, they are holding hands. Victoria and Nate are interrupted by Audra, who claims that she forgot her shopping bag. She picks it up, walks away, and clearly isn't happy. She appears injured outside of sight. The last scenes. When Sharon says she's going back in to speak with Noah in case he can hear her, Nick gives her a hug at the hospital in Los Angeles. When Nick is by himself, he takes Noah's phone and thinks, password. Password. He gets it the first time and looks for the reason his son was on that route at such a late hour. Billy informs Jack at the jazz club that Sally secured cash for Abbott Communications, but he keeps the fact that it's Jill a secret. Jack squints as he acknowledges that his brother's expulsion from Abcom wounded him. Jack says he'll be there to catch Billy if he loses his balance, and Billy apologizes. I only care that you're successful. And Jill shares my sentiments, as far as I know. To time curing all wounds, they raise a toast. Billy Jack toast. Nick calls Sienna back at the hospital in Los Angeles, but she doesn't answer and leaves the call on voicemail. Sienna YNR. Sharon sobs in Noah's hospital room while reminding him of the nightmares he experienced as a young boy. She would calm him by reciting the states' names in alphabetical order. Sharon begins enumerating them, but at California, she chokes. Noah, why did you have to come to LA? She sobs. She assures him that Allie depends on him and that he must recover. They require him. Sharon. The detective calls someone outside the hospital to report that he spoke with the parents and informed them of their agreement. It appears that they purchased it. He's going to text Nick's number right now. Detective Burrow's phone. Nick goes back inside to join Sharon, who is still giving Noah an alphabetical list of the states in his hospital room. The storm clouds over Los Angeles had begun to disperse, but for Nick Newman, the turmoil inside his chest was just beginning. His mind was a whirlwind of questions with no answers, his heart pounding with the weight of fear and suspicion. Standing outside his son's hospital room, he could still hear the faint hum of the machines keeping Noah alive. Each rhythmic beep served as a cruel reminder that his son was fighting for his life, and someone, somewhere, wanted him gone. Sharon sat beside Noah's bed, her trembling fingers brushing against their son's cold hand, whispering softly as if her voice alone could call him back. You're strong, baby. You always have been, she murmured through tears, her voice cracking. Don't you dare give up on us now. Nick paced the sterile hallway, running a hand through his hair. Every instinct screamed that there was more to this accident than met the eye. When Detective Burrows appeared earlier, something about him hadn't felt right, the too casual demeanor, the subtle avoidance of direct answers, the way he seemed to be testing them rather than helping. Nick replayed every second of that conversation in his mind, trying to pinpoint what was off. Burrows claimed they were just building a timeline, but Nick wasn't buying it. Why does it matter why Noah was in Los Angeles? Nick had snapped, his patience fraying. My son was run off the road. You should be hunting the person who did this, not interrogating him. The detective had scribbled something in his pad, his expression unreadable. We're pursuing all angles, Mr. Newman. You'll be informed if we uncover anything significant. Then, without so much as a handshake, Burrows had walked off, leaving behind a gnawing sense of unease that clung to Nick like a shadow. Sharon's sobs echoed faintly from inside the room, piercing through Nick's thoughts. He took a deep breath and turned toward her. But before he could open the door, a faint ringing came from the small plastic bag labeled Noah Newman, Personal Effects. Nick froze, his pulse quickening. He pulled the bag closer, staring down at the glowing screen of his son's phone. The caller ID read a name he didn't recognize, Sienna Bacall. Who the hell? Nick muttered. He hesitated only for a second before answering. This is Nick Newman, he said cautiously. There was a pause, followed by a woman's uncertain voice on the other end. Oh. I was calling for Noah. Who is this? Her tone was laced with confusion, or was it guilt? I'm his father, Nick replied curtly. Noah's been in a serious car accident. He's in critical condition. Who are you? The silence that followed stretched thin, taut with something unspoken. Finally, the woman answered, I'm a friend. From Los Angeles. Please tell me he's going to be okay. Her voice trembled, and Nick could almost hear her nerves crackling through the line. How do you know my son? He pressed. Why was he meeting you? There was another hesitation, then she stammered, I just know him through some friends. I have to go. The line went dead. Nick stared at the phone, jaw tightening. Every instinct in him screamed that she was hiding something. Something big. Sienna Bacall, he repeated under his breath, the name searing into his thoughts. He felt the sharp sting of dread crawl up his spine. Something wasn't right. Meanwhile, across town in Chancellor Park, Audra Charles was having her own brush with karma. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of rain-soaked grass, but her mood was anything but serene. She was dressed impeccably, as always, yet there was a tension in her steps, the kind of unease that only surfaces when the past begins to close in. When Nate jogged by, she smirked, ready with one of her usual barbs, but her smile faltered when Victoria arrived. The sight of the two of them together, their easy chemistry, made something inside her twist. "Nate," Victoria greeted, her tone warm but laced with something personal. "You ready for our run?" Audra tilted her head, her expression feigning surprise but her heart burning with irritation. "Didn't know this was a duet," she said dryly. Nate, ever the diplomat, simply shrugged. "It's fine, Audra. I was actually about to meet someone anyway." Before she could respond, Victoria mentioned casually, "I heard about Noah. He was in a terrible car accident in Los Angeles." The words hit Audra like a blow to the chest. "What?" she gasped. "Oh my God. Noah?" Her mind instantly flashed to all the manipulations, all the whispered conversations, and all the dangerous alliances she had made recently. Could it be connected? Could the very web she had woven have somehow ensnared Noah? Victoria studied her reaction closely, noting the panic flickering behind her polished facade. "Do you know him?" Victoria asked, her tone curious. Audra quickly composed herself, shaking her head. "Just through work. It's awful. I hope he's all right." But Victoria wasn't fooled, she rarely was. As Audra excused herself to meet Amy, Victoria turned to Nate, her voice dropping to a whisper. "She knows more than she's letting on." Nate frowned but said nothing. They sat on a nearby bench, Victoria's thoughts drifting to her own family tragedies. This reminds me of Cassie," she murmured, tears welling in her eyes. "And Faith's accident too. Sometimes I feel like my family is cursed." Nate reached for her hand gently, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "You're not cursed, Victoria. You're just human, and you've endured more than most." His voice was soft but steady, grounding her. She smiled faintly, grateful for his calm energy. "You're good for me, Nate," she whispered. "Maybe we can still have that dinner tonight? I could use something normal." He smiled back, and for a fleeting moment, the darkness around them seemed to lift. Just then, Audra returned, her heels clicking against the pavement. "Forgot my bag," she announced curtly, snatching it up. But her eyes fell on their intertwined hands, and for a split second, the mask cracked. Jealousy, sharp and unfiltered, flashed in her expression before she turned and walked away. Her breath was shaky, her heart racing. She was losing control, and she knew it. Every move she'd made to climb the corporate and romantic ladders of Genoa City was beginning to unravel. And as karma had always promised, debts were coming due. Back at society, Billy Abbott was in a rare mood, nostalgic but oddly hopeful. He approached Jack at the jazz club's bar, his usual swagger tempered by humility. "You know," he began with a grin, "I'm the new and improved Billy. Version 2.0. Less reckless, more reflective." Jack chuckled, shaking his head. "Well, I'll believe that when I see it." The brothers clinked glasses, their laughter mingling with the soft piano music. Beneath the levity, however, there was genuine healing happening. For once, they weren't fighting over business or betrayal, they were simply being brothers. "I might have been too harsh with you," Jack admitted, his voice low. "I let my frustration get the better of me." Billy nodded. "And I didn't make it easy on you, either. I was obsessed with proving something. Sally helped me see that there's more to life than chasing old ghosts." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Sally Spectra, voice of reason? Now there's a twist I didn't see coming." Billy laughed. "Yeah, I didn't either. But she's got this way of making you look at yourself, whether you want to or not." Their conversation shifted to Jill, and Jack confessed that he'd reached out to her. "I told her about Kane's latest antics. But honestly, I just wanted to remind her how much she and you matter to each other. Billy looked skeptical. She's probably still disappointed in me. Jack's expression softened. She just wants you to succeed, Billy. We all do. The brothers raised their glasses once more, toasting to new beginnings. To healing old wounds, Billy said. And to staying out of trouble, Jack added with a grin. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Nick sat alone in the dimly lit hospital waiting room, staring down at Noah's phone again. He couldn't shake the feeling that Sienna Bacall was the key to everything. He unlocked the phone, the password came to him instinctively, something only a father who truly knew his son could guess. As he scrolled through messages, photos, and recent calls, his breath caught. There were texts from someone labeled simply H. The messages were cryptic, filled with phrases like "the shipment goes tonight" and "you're sure she doesn't suspect?" Nick's stomach churned. "What the hell were you involved in, son?" he whispered. His heart sank further when he saw that Sienna Bacall was mentioned several times. He was still processing the information when Detective Burrows appeared outside the hospital, phone in hand, speaking in a low voice. "Yeah, I spoke to the parents," he said. "They bought it. I'll text the number now." He glanced around before slipping into an unmarked car. Inside, the faint glow of his phone illuminated a name on the screen, Sienna. "It's done," he typed. "They believe it was an accident." Inside the hospital room, Sharon sat beside Noah, gently stroking his hand. Her voice was shaky but determined as she began reciting the names of the states in alphabetical order, something she'd done when Noah was a child to calm him after nightmares. "Alabama, Alaska, Arizona," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. When she reached California, her voice broke completely. "Why, Noah," she sobbed. "Why did you have to come here?" Her tears dripped onto his hand, and for a moment, it felt like he might squeeze her fingers, but it could have just been her desperate imagination. Nick entered quietly, watching the scene with a lump in his throat. He moved closer, placing a hand on Sharon's shoulder. "He's going to come back to us," he said softly, though his voice betrayed his own uncertainty. Sharon nodded, unable to speak. Outside, the night deepened, the city lights flickering like distant stars. Somewhere in that darkness, secrets were moving, whispered plans, dangerous alliances, and betrayals waiting to be exposed. And while Nick Newman sat at his son's bedside, vowing silently that he would uncover the truth no matter what it took, Audra Charles was beginning to feel the first ripple of the storm she had helped create. Her phone buzzed as she entered her condo. A message from an unknown number appeared on the screen. "We need to talk. You can't hide forever." Her blood ran cold. For all her scheming, all her power plays, she had never imagined that karma could come for her like this, quietly, swiftly, and with terrifying precision. As the night stretched on, the lives of everyone connected to Noah's accident began to intertwine in ways none of them could yet comprehend. Betrayal, guilt, and vengeance simmered just below the surface. Nick's suspicions were no longer just paranoia, they were the beginning of a revelation that would shatter everything. The truth was out there, buried beneath lies and manipulation, waiting to explode. And when it did, the fallout would be devastating, for Sienna, for Detective Burrows, for Audra, and for anyone who thought they could escape the reach of karma. Because in Genoa City, karma always comes calling, and it never forgets a debt. Nick couldn't sleep. The dim lights of the hospital waiting area flickered against his tired face as he sat hunched over Noah's phone, the glow of the screen reflecting in his weary eyes. Every instinct screamed at him that he was missing something, something important that could explain why his son was lying unconscious, barely clinging to life. The mysterious messages, the strange phone call from Sienna Bacall, the detective's evasive behavior, it all pointed toward a cover-up. They bought it. Those words from Burrows echoed in his mind like a ghostly whisper. Bought what exactly? And who was they? He scrolled through Noah's message threads again, this time noticing a voicemail from an unknown number timestamped just hours before the crash. His finger hovered over the play button, dread coiling in his gut. Then he pressed it. The voice that spilled through the speaker was female, low, and frantic. Noah, it's me. It's worse than we thought. Holden's not backing down. He said the shipment needs to move tonight, no matter who gets in the way. Please, just, don't go to the pier. Call me when you get this. Nick's heart pounded as he replayed the message again and again, his mind racing. Holden. That name. It matched what Sienna had said in passing during their brief phone call. She had known Holden from the nightclub. Now the puzzle pieces began to take shape. Shipment. Pier. No matter who gets in the way. Whatever Noah had been involved in, it wasn't just a casual meeting gone wrong. This had the markings of something deeper, something dangerous. He slammed the phone down.